Hello and welcome to my video on individual locus of control. I'm Dr. Dana Haggard, Professor of Management and curator of this video. What we are talking about in this video is an individual's locus of control, but we will learn about locus of control as a dimension of culture in a later video. Let's get started. Let's get started as we normally do with a list of definitions for locus of control. Here are three that I think do a good job of capturing the concept. Verywellmind.com defines locus of control as referring to the extent to which people feel that they have control over the events that influence their lives. Wet and Cameron describe it as the attitude people develop regarding the extent to which they are in control of their own destinies. And Psychology Today defines locus of control as an individual's belief system regarding the causes of his or her experiences and the factors to which that person attributes success or failure. In other words, locus of control is about whether or not you believe what happens to you in life happens as a result of your actions versus outside forces. Locus of control can be further described by the ends of the continuum, internal and external. If one has an internal locus of control, then they believe that they are in control of their lives and that the events that occur are as a result of their own actions. If one has an external locus of control, then they feel that others or fate is in control of their lives and events and outcomes are a result of luck or fate. Let's continue by talking about the importance of internal locus of control. There have been more than 10,000 studies on locus of control, and most of them conclude that internal locus of control is a good thing, especially here in the United States. Here is a list of the advantages of an internal locus of control. First, those with a high internal locus of control take responsibility for their behavior and learn from their mistakes. They are more likely to outperform externals in stressful situations, more likely to take action to improve their situation, and they tend to be less influenced by the opinions of others. People with high internal locus of control are more satisfied with their work, have better relationship with their managers, and enjoy better health. In general, those with a high locus of control experience more position mobility, meaning more promotions and lateral moves. They're more likely to be leaders, and groups with internals as leaders tend to outperform those that are led by externals. After that list, it's hard to imagine that there are any disadvantages to being an internal. But like with anything, extremes can have their downsides. Disadvantages of being an internal include being less likely to comply with leader directions. Internals can find it difficult to delegate. They have a tendency to be direct and to the point, which can sometimes be off-putting or seen as rude. And they have more difficulty arriving at decisions with serious consequences for someone else. They also tend to blame themselves even when the circumstances are beyond their control, which contributes sometimes to really high stress levels. After the previous slide, what you see here on this slide should come as little surprise. The disadvantages of an external locus of control outnumber the advantages. However, that doesn't mean that external locus of control is never associated with something positive, just not with as many positives as with negatives. So going through the list here on externals, their disadvantages: they're more likely to feel powerless and feel like a victim. They are less likely to take responsibility and they blame others or fate for their outcomes. They give up more easily when encountering obstacles. They do not believe that they can change their situation through their own efforts, and they're more likely to seek the approval of others or need what's called external validation. They also are more likely to attribute good and bad outcomes alike to luck or fate. The advantages, however, is that they tend to be good team players, and they can be better at letting go of stressful situations because they don't believe they have power over the situation, so they just sort of accept what's going to happen is going to happen. J.B. Rotter's test has been around for a long time, but researchers continue to use it because it has been validated through its widespread use. I have listed a couple of other places where you can find measures of locus of control. My recommendation is to take one or two of these tests. Just as with all the concepts we cover have multiple definitions, they also have multiple measures, and it can give you a more well-rounded appreciation for your level of locus of control. And now to my favorite part of every video, how to improve. So, in improving locus of control, it's important to remember that locus of control is not a fixed trait. It is an attitude, and attitudes can be changed over time by our experiences. Before deciding how to improve someone's locus of control, it is necessary to understand what would be considered an improvement. As we go through potential actions, remember these can apply to changing your own locus of control or helping someone else change theirs. If you have an extremely high locus of control and take responsibility for things that are clearly not under your control, an improvement would mean reducing your internal locus of control to a more balanced attitude where you understand that you can't truly control everything. If you are extremely high on external locus of control and nothing is ever your fault or your success, an improvement would mean figuring out what things you can control and then doing something about them. So, how do we take the first steps? Well, the first one, when confronted with a failure or rewarded with a success, take a few minutes while the experience is still fresh in your mind to write down a list of factors that contributed to the outcome. After a day has passed, create a new list of factors, but write it as if you were an outside observer. And then examine each item on both lists to see how much influence you could realistically have had on that factor. Ask yourself, were all the factors completely within your control? Were there some factors where you could have done more than you did? After you've come to some conclusions based on your own self-reflection, you can ask a colleague or friend what they think contributed to the outcome and compare your list. And you can also get some ideas from them where they think you could have done better that you might not have seen for yourself. And they also might point out some places where you thought you could control the situation, but where something outside your control definitely had a deciding factor. Also, remember that with externals, they think that what happens to them, good or bad, is a result of luck or fate. So sometimes externals need to be reminded what they were able to do and what they did have control over, and how they did contribute to their success. I mentioned in an earlier video that small wins would be a recurring theme in this class. As with almost every skill we talk about, locus of control can be improved through mastery experiences and celebrating small wins. For helping yourself, it is a matter of looking for opportunities for yourself and maybe letting your boss know you are working on developing your managerial skills and you'd like to start taking on additional training or start working on new types of projects. On the other hand, if you're the supervisor or the manager, maybe you have someone that you can see has a little too high an external locus of control and might need to achieve more balance. So in that case, then you might want to start assigning them those mastery experiences, so small tasks that they can see that they can actually control the outcome of, and to help them learn that there are more and more things that they can actually do and that they actually control. And of course, as always, rewarding those accomplishments with the small wins. Here are a few questions for self-reflection. Now that you are familiar with the concept of locus of control, where do you think you are on the continuum? Closer to internal or external? Think of the people you work with on a regular basis. How would you describe their locus of control? And how would having a different locus of control from others influence your relationship with them? And last but not least, at any time during this lecture, did you feel as if your sensitive line was being crossed? If so, what could you do to help shift your line about this particular topic? This concludes the video on locus of control. If you have any questions about concepts from this video, please post them to the Student Questions forum in Blackboard. Chances are, if you have a question, another student has that question too. If you are intellectually curious, please stay tuned for the list of sources and additional resources for this video. Thank you for watching.